Hello everyone, this is Batman and welcome to the channel. Part 2 of the level 115 cap just came out and as such, a lot of my old guides, they need to be updated. So in this guide, I will show you what to do if you're a new player starting out at this point, and in the second part of my video, I'll go over basic gearing. If you're a veteran and just want to see a synopsis of how gearing works in part 2, go ahead and skip over to that part. I'll put timestamps. Whatever the case, I ask you to please like and subscribe if you found this video helpful. This way, I know people are actually watching this stuff. Well, let's get started. So when you start out, you're going to create a new character, and when you do so, now we have scenario mode and Odyssey mode. I'll explain what Odyssey mode is later, we'll get to that. But by default, you're going to be in scenario mode. So there's over 60 classes in this game now. What do you choose? Right, so if you want, go ahead, watch some YouTube videos, or you can try the classes here. This gives you a little rough idea of how each class, their skills work and such. Now, it's more complicated than this. This only gives you a rough idea of how it goes. But, you know, whatever looks cool to you, you're going to be creating many characters. Now, this game has DPS and buffers, or support classes. I personally think it's very important that everyone get to be familiar with the DPS role and the buffer role. In party content, every party has at least one buffer. So I think it's really important for everyone to know how to play a buffer. So even when you're playing DPS, you know what the buffer should be doing, what they need to be doing. So it helps a lot. So once you choose your class, you get inside the game. The game is going to give you 2 boost capsules. So that's what this looks like. Now this one is supposed to be for the DPS, and you do get a second one for buffers specifically. I already used mine, so I don't have it. But these boost capsules shoots you straight to level 115. You get a little bit of starting gear, and after 20 minutes of tutorial, I mean, depends how long it takes for you to read all the instructions and such, you're ready to do the level 115 content pretty much. So here I have a list of all the classes. There's more than 60, right? Now, in terms of what class I'd recommend playing, honestly, just choose one that looks or feels fun to you. There's so many buffs and nerfs in the game across the whole lifetime that it's impossible to tell if your character's going to be strong or not. So just play whatever is fun, and you won't regret that. Now, you'll notice I circled a few classes. So green, first of all, are all buffers, the support classes. And the red characters, they are a type of damage called fixed damage. Now the difference between fixed damage characters and the rest of the characters, they are percent damage characters, there's not too much difference except in how their weapon upgrades work. And I circled the red ones because basically it costs no gold to upgrade their weapons. Every other character, it costs a good amount of gold to get to a decent upgrade for their weapon. Now, why am I mentioning this now? Well, when you use your boost capsule, you automatically get a pretty decent upgraded weapon. And so it's much more worth it to use a boost capsule on not any of these circled classes, because for percent classes, instead of spending millions of gold upgrading your weapon, you get it for free. For fixed damage classes, if you happen to get the upgraded weapon from the boost capsule, I mean, it's nice, but the limiting factor is a little bit of time instead of money, and it's much harder to get more money. So to summarize, I personally recommend to use a boost capsule on any of the non-circled classes. So that's most other classes. Do it on a percent character, you save a lot of money. So those 2 boost capsules that you get, we probably won't get another few boost capsules for about a month or 2. So how else do you get more characters? Well, I think this is a nice system. So when you create a new character, Odyssey mode, so a concise narrative and combat focused journey, you basically also fast track a character to level 115. Now instead of it taking 20 minutes, it will take maybe an hour or 2 and maybe 2 days of playing to get to level 115. But honestly, I played a little bit of Odyssey mode. I haven't finished yet on one of my characters. It's actually pretty fun. You know, a lot of the bosses from really old content actually have new mechanics and such, and it's actually pretty fun to play, and a lot of the music is It's amazing music. It's fun to go through all the old bosses again. As you're leveling up and going through your journey, in Odyssey mode, make sure that you disassemble everything that you get if you're not using it. The game makes it pretty obvious when you're getting upgrades. It'll have like a... Here, let me show you. So you'll have the green arrow, right? So make sure you disassemble everything, because when you do, you get materials to buy new stuff, right? So you can left click whatever you have and you go to the shop and find whatever you need. And don't forget to open everything the game gives you. And also when you press K for your skills, you know, if you're not sure where to allocate your skills while you're leveling up, don't worry about it, just go to auto set. We'll talk about skill builds later. Whenever you do hit level 115 though, it's really important to find out where you allocate your skills. Okay, so not only do you have all the skills over here, you got skill evolve. This is called the VP system. And then you got skill enhance. So what you add damage bonus to, what should you put cooldowns on. So I'm going to show you guys where I get my skill builds if I'm not sure. So this is a website that one of my guild mates made. It's called DFO Gang. So if you go to ranking, you can look at all the classes in the game. So in this case, I'm going to go to my Enchantress. And these are some of the top players. I want to copy one of their builds. So let me just go to... It doesn't really matter. Some people will have minor differences in their skills. So when you go to skill here, you have to see all their skills, all the VP, what they choose to do. But most importantly, you got the skill code here. So what I'm going to do is copy this skill code. All right. So with the copied skill code, I'm going to go to the skill menu, press menu here, import skill code. Okay. Now, yeah, skill, evolve, and enhance. Now, I'm not going to apply all the hotkeys here because I like to choose my own which buttons and where I do everything. So, check everything and press apply skill. All right, so now I copied that guy's skill build. Now the thing is, I can still edit where I put all my skills here. What I like to do generally, you know, so for buffers, you have a defense buff and a damage buff. But for the DPS characters, you're not going to use these buff skills. They automatically, the game does it for you. But you don't need these. I'm going to take them off. You only do them once every time you enter dungeon anyways. Your awakening skills, these are really high cooldown skills. I like to put them up here. I don't need a hotkey for them. And then I'll add a few more skills that I actually need. I'll figure out the rest later. This I like to put here. I'm not sure what else is useful just yet, but I'll figure that out later. Alright, here's more skills. Now, for the skills that you see up here that do not have a hotkey, so you need to manually, you manual them. So what that means is, I'm going to go to the skills. So this is my third awakening. All my third awakenings, what I like to do is I'd like to do this and space. Oh, that's... I want to reset that. I don't really care what this is. Alright. So second awakening, I always do... Whoa, hold on. Sorry, I'm messing up. Oh man. These defaults are killing me. Alright. And then for first awakening, I always do left, right, space. So those are the hotkeys for my skills here. So you'll notice the commands for this. And you know, these, you only use them every 2 or 3 minutes. So, no, use your commands so that you have a little bit more room for your hotkeys here. So before I get into more detail about gearing and such, I wanted to show you guys the difference between fixed damage classes and percent damage classes. So I am going to go upgrade my weapon. So you generally upgrade your weapon at this lady right here, Lady Kiri. People will love her or hate her depending on if their weapon broke at her station. So this is a fixed damage class. So I go to refine. I refine my weapon, right? So Success rate is low, but all it costs is powerful energy. I need a little bit more. So fortunately, I have a lot of powerful energy, but how do I get it? So using this, you get a lot of this. So let me go a few tries. All right, now I got 490. Let's see how much this gets me. So again, this costs absolutely 0 gold. Just a lot of patience. Yeah, it's going to fail quite a time. Well, you guys get the point. If I were to reinforce, for instance, oh look, it costs a good amount of gold. And this looks cheap now, but it gets higher and higher as we go higher. Now, again, this is a fixed damage class. Reinforcing does absolutely nothing for more damage, and vice versa. If I'm playing a percent damage class, refining does absolutely nothing. So refining is for fixed damage classes, costs no money. Reinforce is for percent damage classes, costs a good amount of money. So just to summarize, that's why I highly recommend using the booster capsules on percent classes, so you save a lot of money. For fixed damage classes, you can level them through Odyssey. I'm not sure if Odyssey gives you new or upgraded weapons. I don't think so. And then you can also do scenario mode, just normal. Scenario mode, by the way, is it takes a few days to get to level 115. It's a good amount slower than everything else, but it's something if you don't have booster capsules. So now let me go over how gearing works in part 2 of the level 115 cap. Now, the main gear is the same. You have different gears, different rarities. They give you a different amount of set points. You want to get to Primeval tier. So eventually if you get more set points, you get to Primeval tier for all your gear here. And you want Primeval on the accessories. Everywhere else you want to be epic. Also, before there used to be something called Fusion Stones. Now, the Oath system is basically the Fusion Stones slots. I'll show you another example. So I got this character, and you'll notice all the old Fusion Stones from the previous cap. You know, so you had set Fusion Stones that give you some set points. You also had distinct Fusion Stones that give you more powerful effects. But now it's replaced by the Oath system. Now the Oath system itself has its own points. You see Oath points here, right? Now, you'll notice something interesting. Right, so this character, I mean, if you just look at it without the armory, this character is nowhere near Primeval tier. However, in the armory, you'll see that, what, I have everything in Primeval tier. Why is that the case? Well, because Oath system, whatever points in Oath, so each Fusion Stone gives some points. Whatever you don't finish in your armors here, the Oath system will put their set points into your armors and such. Now, Oath system has its own rarity, right? It goes all the way to Primeval tier itself. But you'll notice here that I have 800 Oath points, but minus 485, okay? That 485 went into my equipments to reach 250. So basically, the Oath points gets added to my set points, and then I'm left with 315. So I'm in Primeval tier, even though my stuff is nowhere near. So all the old Fusion Stones that you guys used to have, for the most part, it's all useless. So let me just convert all this Oath. All right, so all my old Fusion Stones. Look at my Fame jump. Wow. Almost 10,000 Fame jump, yeah? So yeah, I'm in Primeval tier. But my Oath system, it starts at 750, but I use some of it, as you see, 800 minus 485, is using it to get myself to Primeval tier right here. So, what does the end game look like? Ideally, you hit Primeval tier through your sets without any help from the Oath system. If you were end game from part 1, you should already be there, and you also want to get Primeval Oath and Primeval Crystals. So these are all crystals, and these are oaths, and you have all the same sets for the most part for from the first part, right? So you want primeval here and primeval here, and that's how you gear up. So how do you find all of your gear? It's pretty much the same as before, actually. So you have your dailies. So go to DFO mission. You have your missions here, and these are 2 free entries, basically. Just like before. And then when you finish the dungeon, you may or may not get a drop. Let's see what we get. Pretty much nothing. So I get some gear from my armors, and then you get something from your oath, okay? So even though you're not finished, well, in my case, I am finished with my gear here. But just in case you aren't, you're farming for oath at the same time as you're farming for your gear, for your normal gear. So there's no wasted time or effort. Once you finish your 2 dailies, I still got one more, but you're going to be running Innkeeper of Odor. The materials are the exact same. You got Doom Oracles. Now, it costs a little bit more Doom Oracles than normal, but let me show you one run. Very easy. Alright, so I basically got nothing this run, but you keep running this until you run out of materials, or FP. If you happen to have certain materials, you get to do the Verge of Order. This gives you better drops for higher cost. Now, you'll also notice when you go to Seria's room, the old stuff used to be called Lustrous Doom door plates. You turn these in for the new stuff, right? I don't think I have any more. Yeah, I don't have any more myself, so I can't show you a run. So besides those dailies, what else can you do to farm for gear? So you go to channels. There are, well, first of all, Unshackled Nightmare was from the old cap, or not from the old cap, from the part 1. This, I think, gives you some oath stuff, so that's cool, new addition. And then there's new advanced dungeons. So I'm not strong enough for Castle of the Apostate yet, but these give oath as well. If you're not quite at this level yet, you can still do the old advanced dungeons. They won't give you any of the new oath stuff, but they will give you the rest of this gear. And they will also give you Doom Oracles to run for more stuff. In addition to those advanced dungeons, you're also going to be going to Legion. Now, Venus is old content. It doesn't give you any oath stuff, and the fusion stones it gives you is obsolete. But it's still worth running, even though it gives you, it takes 30 FP. It's still worth running because it gives you some more Doom Oracles, and it gives you some more of your regular set gear. And then you also have raids. So I for the most part, finished my raids. Delisi raid gives you oath drops. In a Disc War, well, it'll give you the Doom plates to run the advanced dungeon that I showed earlier. And Nabal is also old content. It will give you fusion stones, which are, for the most part, obsolete. But again, it also gives you more Doom Oracles and also gives you set pieces. Now, one more thing. I did mention that Venus and Nabal are generally old content. So the fusion stones that you get from them, I'll show you really quick. So it says old, and yeah, it is old stuff, right? You go down to, so I'm going to ignore Venus Distinct Fusion Stone because this is obsolete, absolutely. But Nabal Distinct Fusion Stone, some of them are kind of decent. What I like to do, let me show you. So you'll notice I'm missing a ring here, and you'll notice up here I have my Tiana ring as part of my oath. Generally, this is not as strong as a single piece as some of these other pieces, but the reason I have this here is because if you go to Surya's room, you go to the book, you'll see this Distinct Oath Crystal Recipe Box and a Mist Crystal Fragment. So you only get one per week. What this does is it turns one of your old fusion stones, like these Nabal ones, into a modern Oath Fusion Stone, I guess you want to call it that. Before, just like, you know, this old stuff, it gave you no Oath points whatsoever. But once you convert it using these recipes, it gives you some Oath points. So this is a holdout until eventually you replace everything with Epic grade. But for now, Legendary grade in week 1, it's pretty good. So you only make 1 per week. And make sure you grab it from the Mystical Grimoire. From these Mist Crystal Fragment, you get 1 per week, as you notice. Right? So that's why it's somewhat worth it to run Nabel still. I think the Venus Distinct Stones are not strong enough, but the Nabel ones, some of them are worth it. I specifically chose the ring because I have a plus 11 amp ring, and it gives me a good amount of damage. I think the accessories give the most damage out of all the distinct fusion stones from the old content. So if you're good to convert them into Oath, I recommend these 3. They give you the most damage. I will also note one more thing, right? I'm sure you've noticed that, you know, the set pieces, they have their specific, you know, quirks. You know, Cleansing Darkness is a cooldown set. Dragon Arena gives you a bunch of speed and so on. And Oath, they have basically similar things, right? So I'm using Cleansing right now. It's more cooldown. And Limit is Awakening, right? So if your Oath set matches your set that you're wearing here, you actually get a few more choices. You get to, so you have this middle one that's default, but you can also use these other types of unique oaths, I guess you could call them. Now, if they don't match, for instance, I'll go Limit, and you see they're locked up, right? So if you want to be able to change them, so again, Cleansing, Oath, Cleansing sets, I go to Oath settings, and then you get to choose whichever one you want, okay? So that's how that works. So in a sense, the game incentivizes you to choose the same set and Oath, but the more important thing is whatever your Oath set is highest, I should be using Limit. Use that one first. That gives you the most power. Set is not as important. Use whatever you're finished with. I heard that the endgame raid for this game, which will come out, I don't know how long, in a few months. Once you finish upgrading everything, you get to change your sets freely to match whatever Oath you have. So that way you get to match sets, get all the options, and that's pretty neat. But again, use whatever Oath is highest. So I hope all of that made sense. In summary, nowadays you're going to be farming for Oath, which is basically the old Fusion Stone system. And even while you're farming for Oath things, even if your sets are not completed, you're going to find set drops as well. And the game is pretty generous with giving additional armor sets and such. So this event, you get to choose basically whatever armor you want. And there's like selective accessory. This is not from the events. Where is it? Here you go. Whatever accessory you want. Primeval. Does she have one too? Yeah, she does. So if you have a new character, if you're starting out, you get to finish your sets very quickly. This part is not the limiting factor for your progress. Oaths are. So I wish you all the best, everyone, and I hope all that made sense. As soon as my characters are strong enough, I'm going to make video guides on the new advanced dungeons, the Turtle Library, and the Castle of the Apostates. I'm not quite there yet because I'm not strong enough. We'll find out soon. So, thank you so much, everyone, for watching. I hope that made sense. If you have any questions, please put in the comments. And if you're a new player, you probably are short on clear cubes. I didn't mention this, but you do need clear cube fragments in order to use some of your skills. So if you're new, I want you to send me some mail. So go to mailbox, send mail, send this to Batman, all right? That's me. I can't send it to myself, but I want you to send me a message. I don't want it to be the same as my old video, so let's do like this. I want you guys to type me Okay, it took me a while, but I want you to type me this message. I'm not wearing hockey pads. Alright? You send that to me, I'm going to send you guys some clear cube fragments. And if you guys are veterans, you know, you guys don't need clear cube fragments. You don't have to send me this message. I really want to see how many new people are playing, okay? But, you know, for me, it's expendable. If you want to send me a message, go ahead. I don't care. Well, anyways, thank you so much for watching, guys. Please like and subscribe if this was helpful to you, and I will see you in the future.